tucks in and runs. Zach Wilson's loose. Zach Wilson's running. He's got all day. He stays in bounds. Zach Wilson cuts it. Zach Wilson gets in the end zone for the touchdown. Yo, what is good, Jets Nation? Welcome back to another Jets Media live stream. And as you can tell, we got a special guest on today's show. His name is Ryan from Jets Talk 24/7. You guys know him very well. He's doing some great things over at his channel, breaking down everything related to the New York Jets. Ryan, welcome to the show. Always a pleasure having you on. And how you feeling? 2 weeks from the draft. Less than that, actually.
I can't wait. It just can't come fast enough. I'm like, every single trade rumor that pops up for wide receivers or trade backs or whatever has gotten me going a little screwy. So the draft can't come here quick enough. And thanks again for having me on. This is always fun.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure having you on the show, Ryan. Jets fans love you. Everybody, make sure you go down below and subscribe to Ryan if you're not already. He's inching close to 20,000 subscribers. Whoa.
It's close.
Whoa. I just hit 10K and Ryan's about to hit 20K. Wow. Ryan is doing this thing, guys. If you not know Ryan, make sure you check his channel down below in the description. So, like you said, Ryan, there's a lot of things regarding the New York Jets with rumors because the draft is less than 2 weeks away. And we all are expecting some type of trade to happen, whether it's before the draft or on draft night. So before we get into the draft preview in today's show of who the Jets are going to be drafting on draft night, I want to talk about your expectations heading into the draft in terms of the trade market. Do you think that the Jets are going to get a trade done before or on the day of, or no trades at all?
I think we're definitely going to see a trade day of. And it depends if Willis winds up making it past the Lions. I don't think any team's going to give up a lot of picks and a substantial amount of picks to move up prior to the draft, because this draft doesn't feel like the Wentz Goff draft or the Sam Baker Josh Allen draft or even last year's draft with Trey Lance, Zach Wilson, and Trevor Lawrence. So I think because there's so few quarterbacks, you'll wait and see kind of where they go. And I think the Texans, the Jets, and the Giants are the three teams primed to possibly trade down. So it's a matter of which team's going to take less and which team falls in love with different players at the top of the draft. It's going to be fascinating.
Yeah, it's really interesting because we've seen Joe Douglas in his first draft in 2020 move back, and then we saw last year him move up. So he has experience doing both. When it comes to the first round, do you think it's more likely for the Jets to trade back from 4 or trade back from 10, or stay put at 4 and 10 and trade back into the first round by packaging those 2 second-round picks and coming away with 3 first-round picks? Because you can make the argument that both of those things are possible. So what do you think is more likely?
Well, honestly, I think both are. I don't think we trade down from 10 because I don't think 10's as valuable as it was prior to the Wentz draft with the Commanders sitting at number 11. They seem to have kind of had their quarterback situation figured out. If a quarterback falls to them, maybe they take them. But I really don't think 10's going to be a real valuable spot for teams to trade up to. I think teams are going to want to get in front of Carolina specifically. So if there's a trade down, it's going to be from number 4. And I do expect the Saints and the Steelers to be the 2 popular names that the Jets could trade back with. And then in terms of trading back into the first, I think that's definitely going to happen. Regardless of what happens with the trade. Yeah, I think it's going to happen because I don't buy that the Jets are going receiver at number 10. I mean, they might, but I think it's going to be, an interesting situation. I think the value for receiver is in that second round. And I think you saw Joe Douglas offer up both seconds and a third to go get Tyreek Hill. And I think that's probably what he's willing in some capacity, not all 3 of those picks to move up, but I think he's going to look to try and get in front of the Packers, try and get in front of the Chiefs at the tail end of the first to get that 5th-year option on a wide receiver, because we're seeing that contract balloon up. So the smart teams are going to draft their receiver in the first round, franchise tag him for a year, and then flip him for picks later on.
Yeah, it's very interesting. And we're going to get into mock drafts later on in the stream as well, guys. We're going to do a live mock draft, more than one. We're going to interact with everybody in the chat, and we're going to get into some trade scenarios and some things that is going to be fun to see on draft night. And we're also going to get into our dream scenario, because Ryan, my dream scenario is pretty much what you just mentioned, and that's a certain player at 4, a certain player at 10, moving up into the draft, back into the first round and drafting a certain player, which is a wide receiver. So we're going to get into that. But before we get deeper into the stream about the New York Jets and the NFL draft preview, make sure you guys smash that thumbs up button on your way into the show. We have around 77 people just tuning in for the first time with only 28 likes. Make sure you guys smash that thumbs up button if you are enjoying the show and you want to see Ryan come tune in on the channel more often. I love having him here. I love being on his channel. It's a great Jets community we got here on YouTube. It is always a pleasure having Ryan on the show. So again, guys, don't forget to smash that thumbs up button for your boy. Now let's get back into the draft talk. So I want to hear your dream scenario that is realistic, Ryan, in the first round, whether it is a pick at 4 or maybe we trade down from 4 or any trades. Who are the guys in the first round that is your absolute dream, but at the same time, it's realistic?
So number 4 would be Sauce Gardner. Really, I've just fallen in love with the guy. I really like everything he's about. I feel like the number 4 pick is such a statement pick. And it's so weird because the cornerback position has almost been devalued because of the high octane offenses. And the Jets do need cornerback help, even with the signing of DJ Reed. I know we've talked about it a little bit, where I think that Bryce Hall and Reed are more in competition in terms of their second contracts, and they could still benefit from an additional number 1 corner. And then Jermaine Johnson at number 10, I really like that. You got to come away with an edge at 4 or 10. I do think that edge should be the priority at 4, but if we're acting dream scenario, it's Sauce at 4, or maybe you go edge at 4, Sauce at 10, however you want to cut it. One of those two would be fine with me. In terms of trading back into the first, I really, really hope that Jameson Williams falls. I don't think it's going to happen. I think he's the top wide receiver in this class, and I think he's going to be the top receiver taken. So I think if the Jets want him specifically, we're going to have to take him at 10, but I like coming back into the first, getting a receiver that's falling, whether it be Jameson Williams, Treylon Burks, Christian Watson, Jahan Dotson, someone like that at the tail end of the first, and then maybe grab your safety at pick 38 or 35, depending on which pick you have left over from your trade up.
We have very similar dream scenarios, my friend Ryan. My dream scenario includes the same player in Sauce, but I have him at 10, right? That's just me being optimistic that he falls to 10, right? This is the dream scenario. It's realistic that he gets to 10, but it's not likely, right? Mm-hmm. So my dream scenario is Kayvon Thibodeau at 4, Sauce Gardner at 10, trading back into the first for Jameson, I'm sorry. Jameson Williams. Sorry. For Jameson Williams. That would be, I would just, on that Thursday night, I don't care what we do for the rest of the draft, we are coming away with 3 first-round picks. The edge rusher that I'm excited about to take a big step on this Jets defense, and we got that top cornerback, and we're getting an elite potential wide receiver along with Elijah Moore. So what is your thoughts about that dream scenario? Do you think it's likely, or am I just, on cloud 9 thinking of something that's totally unrealistic?
No, I think it's entirely possible. Sauce falling to 10, I have a hard time seeing that happening. I think he goes either 7 or 9, possibly before us, because we took DJ Reed, obviously, from Seattle. And the Giants are going to lose Bradbury probably after this year. So I don't think he makes it, but you could see a Stingley or a McDuffie or some other type of corner at number 10. I think it is entirely possible. Kayvon Thibodeau, it's hard to get a read on because the guy is intelligent. The ability to diagnose different pass rush moves and how to stack different moves to get around tackles is really impressive. And it's hard to tell whether the Lions go for him at 2 or if they decide to go with the quarterback. So I don't know. It's some people have Thibodeau falling. Some people have him going top 2. I think one thing's for sure, we're definitely getting a top edge rusher, but I just don't know how they handle 4. Because worst case scenario for me, and I don't know if we're going to cover this, but worst case scenario for me would be Hutchinson 1, Thibodeau 2, Sauce 3, and then the Jets are sitting there. And I guess that worst case scenario would be trading down at that point. I don't know, but I think it's realistic.
So I have an interesting question for you that I still see this player getting mocked to the Jets at number 4. I don't know your thoughts on your reaction if the Jets actually do draft this player, and if you think it's realistic that he's still on the Jets' radar, and that's Ikem Ekwonu, right? We all know that this offensive line is pretty much set on paper. We see Becton and Fant as the tackles. We see Tomlinson and AVT as the guards and McGovern as the center. But I still see some really, people, NFL draft analysts that I respect, having the Jets still taking Ekwonu at 4. Does that make sense? And where the hell would he play?
I've seen Ekwonu at 4, and I've seen Trevor Penning at 10. Those are the two that have kind of been floated around a little bit. And I don't love it because I'd like to imagine a scenario where George Fant is resigned and he stays long term. And I'm not sure if it's the Jets doing as to why that contract has not happened, meaning they are waiting to see if the tackle of their choice is falling to them, or if it's Fant's choice saying, hey, let's wait until after the draft, because if they don't take a tackle, my value goes up, a lot more. So I don't like going offensive line in the top 10. I think if Joe Douglas is as good of an offensive line scout as he's kind of made out to be, he should be able to hit on offensive linemen outside of the first round, specifically outside of the top 10 for sure. If they want to pull the trigger on a developmental tackle in the second, third round, because he's got a high upside, I'm okay with that. But I would be a little irritated, and I would probably expect a trade of either Fant or Becton during the draft if they make that selection. Unless they think IK can play center, I really think center is the only position we're going to be looking for.
Yeah, exactly. That's where I'm at. I feel like, Joe Douglas tried to get that developmental piece in the draft in 2020 with Cam Clark. And we knew what happened with him, unfortunately, having to retire without taking an NFL snap with that crazy injury he suffered in training camp. So I'm expecting the Jets to draft maybe even 2 offensive linemen, but not in the top 10, in the back end, in the 4th, in the 5th. Maybe they love one in the 2nd or even 3rd. I feel like we need a long-term answer at that swing tackle role. We were so lucky to have Morgan Moses on the roster last year, because if it wasn't for him, the offensive line would not have been anything close to what they were last year, with Mekhi Becton going down in week number 1. Morgan Moses slid in at right tackle. George Fant goes at left tackle. We have 2 tackles for the rest of the season. And right now, if Becton or Fant goes down, I don't feel comfortable with McDermott or Edoga. I really don't. And we know that Becton's health is a concern right now just because he's coming off a really gruesome injury. And I'm really excited what Becton's going to do in terms of him getting into shape and all that stuff. But when it comes to the Jets and their swing tackle position, I don't think they're going to tackle a swing tackle in the top 10. So I'm expecting them to do it later on in the draft. Would you agree?
Yeah, I agree. I think that would make the most sense. When you're looking like 4th, 5th round, that would be the sweet spot for a guy with high upside. Maybe he had an injury concern or some type of incident that had him slip. Maybe the metrics didn't quite match up to, what he had at the combine or whatever. I don't know. I think there's definitely a need at tackle, and that's definitely the offensive line position, along with probably a center, that I see the Jets making a move for.
Agreed. So what are some of your biggest needs heading into the draft for the New York Jets? Is it 2 positions? Give me 2 positions, because you can probably list like 5 positions, knowing that how this Jets roster is shaped up. So give me 2 big-time needs that you think is the most important that the Jets need to address in this upcoming draft.
Edge and receiver. Nice and easy. It's, we've been looking for an edge for a long time. I saw a situation that people were talking about taking 2 edges and 4 and 10, because you don't know what Lawson's going to be, and this is a top-heavy draft. So maybe you come away with someone like a Trayvon Walker, who might be able to slide in for JFM if we cut JFM after this year, because his guaranteed money will be up. And then maybe someone like a Jermaine Johnson or a Karlaftis at number 10. And then you have your edge rushers that can still bounce, around the defensive line. Wide receiver is the other one. I could completely understand if the Jets take one at number 10. I don't particularly like that, because I like probably 8 to 10 receivers in this draft, and you're going to get a good one in the 2nd round, even if you don't trade up. I just like the idea of moving up because we have so many picks, and getting that 5th-year option with the way these wide receiver contracts have gone. It's probably a good move to do that.
Yeah, I agree. I think the 2 biggest needs are edge and receiver, and I feel like that's probably going to be the picks at 4 and 10. But like you, I agree with the fact that you don't really need to hit a receiver on number 10, because there's so many guys that you love. Maybe the Jets do trade back from 10, or they take a guy at 4 and 10 that's not receivers, and then we trade back into the first round, like we've said over and over again in this stream. So guys, I want to hear your thoughts in the chat as well. What do you think the biggest needs are? Who are some of your favorite prospects? I love hearing what you guys have to say down below in the chat, because it's really interesting that everybody in Jets Nation have their own opinions, and we all have our favorite players. This player's a bust, that player's going to be a gem, and we all disagree. It's a really fun time heading into the NFL draft, and it's going to be really fun to see what shapes up happening in the next couple of weeks leading into the NFL draft. So, guys, we're going to still talk about the NFL draft, and then we're going to get into the mock draft, where we're going to go live to see if Ryan and myself can ace it, like we're Joe Douglas bringing in some dogs. So let's get into the second round, Ryan. Who are some of your favorite targets at 35 and 38, saying that we do not trade back into the first round? Obviously, a lot relies on who we take at 4 and 10, but just give me a list of guys that you really think would fit this system for Robert Saleh at 35 or 38.
Yeah, so for this, I'm going to say we went edge, and I'm going to say we went some other position at number 10, because I don't want wide receiver at number 10. So 35 for me would be a receiver in some capacity, whether it be Christian Watson or Jahan Dotson, maybe Treylon Burks slips through the cracks. I would like that pick to be a receiver. I don't care who it is. It could be any number of players. At 38, I really think that's the sweet spot for a safety. There's like 4 or 5 really good ones, and I think if you wait till after 38, you may not get one. So for me, definitely looking someone like a Scene or Brisker, if they're there, I think are both good options. Maybe Petrie if his stock has risen enough to be justified at that pick. But I do think receiver and safety, or a receiver linebacker, those are kind of the areas I'd be looking at with 35 and 38.
So do you see linebacker as like a big time need for this defense? Because we've heard from Connor Hughes that the Jets organization doesn't see the Jets linebacker core as a huge need as a fan base do, because they really love Quincy Williams, and they drafted Jamin Sherwood and Hamza Nasruddin last year, and they have CJ Mosley still on the roster. So those are 4 guys heading into the season as a linebackers. But I still feel like they're going to draft a linebacker, but I'm just curious your thoughts about the current linebackers we have on the roster, and if you think that the Jets should definitely take one early in this draft.
So I'm curious to see what happens with CJ Mosley, because unless he renegotiates his deal and takes a lower cap hit, he's probably gone after this season. So then you wind up having Quincy Williams going into the final year of his contract, and then you have 2 kind of unknowns in Nasser Al-Din and Sherwood. So I would expect the Jets to draft a linebacker pretty high, like at the latest the 3rd round. But I could also see a trade down. Like, it wouldn't shock me if number 10 wound up being a linebacker. If they go, edge, linebacker, receiver, safety, something along those lines. I do think it's one of our top needs. But I think the way they'll spin it is like, hey, we didn't expect this guy to be here. We pulled the trigger on him. The whole song and dance that you normally see around draft time. Yeah, I definitely like a few linebackers. Nakobe Dean, I know we've talked about it for months now. I really like him. I don't know how or what type of situation works out where you can get him, but I would really love to add him to this defense.
And if you remember last year during the draft, it was pretty crazy because it got to a point where it looked like we drafted like 5 straight defensive backs.
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't realize that the Jets were drafting Sherwood and Nasruddin as linebackers. So the Jets can do the same thing this year. Are they going to draft a safety, and then we find out afterwards that he's not a safety in the Jets' eyes? He's going to be a linebacker. Like, do they see that position as something different? Because I just remember sitting there during my stream last year, and I'm sure it was the same on your stream. It was just like cornerback, safety, just in terms of the positions on NFL Network, what they were labeling him as. It was really shocking. So are you expecting something similar to that this year, or are they going to actually take a linebacker that's labeled as one?
I think they're probably going to try and figure out what they have at will linebacker for sure. I don't know who they wind up using as that, whether it's, any of the guys we drafted last year or Williams. CJ Mosley, I do think we have to find some type of heir apparent for in the event that he's not here next year. If he decides to take a lower contract, maybe they decide to move on from Quincy Williams and then they keep CJ Mosley. But I would think, I don't see CJ on the team next year. I think the one position that we could run into where we're like, that's really weird, would be in the event the Jets trade down and we take Zion Johnson and we want to play him at center, but it comes up as him being a guard. And we're like, wait a second, we just signed Tomlinson for 3 years and we have ABT that we just drafted last year. This doesn't make any sense. Yeah. But linebacker wise, I think you're probably seeing a linebacker taken to be a linebacker.
Yeah, I agree. I just will never forget last year. It was just like the entire Jets fan base was like, Happy that we took offense in the first 4 picks, and all of a sudden it was 6 straight defensive players, and it was like players that no one really expected to be on the Jets' radar. But I'm not complaining because Michael Carter II is a beast. Brandon Echols was a beast. And all those guys I feel like have a lot of potential. So now let's get into the back end of this draft. And we'll talk more about this when we're on the clock on the mock draft in a few minutes. But who are some Jets targets in the back end in rounds 3 and 5? Say, Ryan, we drafted edge, we drafted wide receiver, and then safety, and then linebacker with the first 4 picks. That's really where we were talking about when I asked you about the first and second round. So what positions and what players in particular do you want to see the Jets target in rounds 3 and 5? Because we have 5 picks in these 3 rounds.
Yeah, so I think we'll see the opposite of what happened last year, where we went heavy offense the first 4 picks and then just did like a scatter shot of defense to get depth on the defensive side. This year, you're going to see defense heavy towards the top of the draft. Like, it wouldn't shock me if 3 of the top 4 picks were all defense. And then you go into the later parts of the draft and you try to add that depth. So I could see someone like a Jeremy Ruckert being taken, tight end from OSU that, a lot of Jet fans really like. I could see developmental tackle being taken. I had mentioned Mike Vrabel's son out of Boston College might be an option. There's a lot of different ways the Jets could go. Maybe a slot receiver that could fill in for what we lost from Crowder, unless they believe Berrios, is that answer. Just kind of the opposite of what we saw last year. Kind of tough to hammer it down exactly, but I do expect, developmental tackle, and maybe a receiver, a little later or something like that.
Yeah, I feel like this is where we're going to get depth, and I agree with you where I feel like the Jets' last year's approach is going to be similar to this year, but flipped around. We're going to go defensive heavy in the first couple rounds to get those blue-chip guys for the 32nd ranked Robert Saleh defense. We need some help over there. And it's weird because all of a sudden we look at this offense, and we're like one big-time receiver away from it being set, like in terms of the starting unit outside of depth. Like, we have their 2 starting tight ends. We have solid running backs. I do want to draft the running back later on. We have the 5 offensive linemen. We have the quarterback. And we have all the receivers outside of one big-time name. So do you feel like – am I speaking facts right now? Like, what are your thoughts about the offense? Are we one big-time receiver away from it being set on paper where you feel confident heading into the season?
Yeah, for sure. Especially since the Jets want to run the ball more. Like, they want to run the ball with Michael Carter. They'll run it with Tevin Coleman. Now that we've shored up the offensive line with Laken Tomlinson, I think that's probably where they try to go, along with the 2 tight ends. So when you're thinking receiver-wise, we have Corey Davis, we have Elijah Moore, we have Braxton Berrios, we have Denzel Mims. So, like, bringing in one big wide receiver probably feels like the right move because you don't know what Mims is. Corey Davis might be gone after this year. And then you kind of have your, plethora of wide receivers. That's kind of why I think you and I both like the Jameson Williams approach, because you can allow him a little bit of time to grow and recover from his ACL tear without having to necessarily force him out onto the field because you are playing so many tight end heavy sets.
Exactly. With the 2 tight ends that the Jets signed, it really tells me that the Jets are going to be going out there with all that personnel with having them on the field. And do you expect McBride to be in the conversation still? Because I feel like the only way he's getting drafted is in the second round. I see some Jets fans still want to draft him in the second round because he was my favorite player in this draft before free agency, and we went out there and signed 2 big tight ends in CJ Uzomah and Tyler Conklin. Do you think that he's still on the Jets' radar in the second round, or you think the only way he's a Jet is if he falls to 69?
I would be surprised. I don't think he makes it out of the first round. I think he's going 31 to the Bengals. That would be my guess, since we just snatched up their tight end. But I would be upset if the Jets wound up going tight end in the second. The sweet spot for a tight end, generally speaking, is 4th, 5th round. You could find a lot of really good ones there. And Joe Douglas doesn't strike me as someone who wants to reach on a position if he doesn't have to. I love McBride. I really like what he brings to the table, but I think signing the 2 tight ends was kind of our way of saying, hey, let's avoid doing that in the second round by all means.
I agree. So before we get into the mock draft, Ryan, what do you want to see from this Jets front office heading into this draft that tells you that they're trying to be aggressive to win right now? Obviously, they have a long-term perspective. They're trying to build a long-term a franchise that's trying to win every single year. And I feel like the Jets are actually doing that properly by acquiring draft capital. Would it be smart, for example, for the Jets to trade back to get capital from next year's draft class? Because we don't have a lot of capital next year. Us as Jets fans, we're spoiled. We had 2 first-rounders last year, 2 first-round picks this year, 2 second-round picks this year. But next year, it's not looking likely. So do you think it'll be smart for the Jets to trade back to acquire capital next year? Or do you want them to go all in this year, use all that ammo to trade for a player or draft a player this season?
I would say I'd like them to trade down from 4. Like, as much as I really like Sauce and I like the edge rushers, I like a lot of what's going on at the number 10 spot specifically. So depending on how the front, 3 picks end up falling, if there's a quarterback on the board at 4 and we can slide back with the Saints or the Steelers, the Saints, you probably get both their first rounders this year. The Steelers, you get one for next year. So that's appealing. It'll depend on how they trade down, because if you wind up going with the Saints, then maybe you go with your edge rusher at 10, you go with a Jameson Williams, then you go with maybe like a Zion Johnson or a Nakobe Dean at number 19. I don't know. I want to see them, if they're going to get more assets, to push those into next year, because we have enough draft capital this year for sure. It's just a matter of which team we wind up trading with and what Douglas likes more. Like, maybe he values trading back for one of the Saints picks and then a pick next year, but they lost their first round pick in their trade with the Eagles. So I don't know. It's tough.
Exactly. And on the trade talk real quick, are we going to trade for a big name receiver or not? Is DK going to be a Jet? Is Debo going to be a Jet? Is AJ Brown? Is McLaurin? Obviously, there's all these rumors about the Jets, and the only reason why there's rumors about it is because the Jets are aggressive and they want one of them. It's not like all those players are up for grabs. It's just the Jets want a player to trade for. So should we expect that to happen before the draft or on draft night, or is that just so far-fetched that we shouldn't even think about it anymore?
I think if there's a trade, it would happen on draft night. I think the Jets are going to see who's available. I think other teams are going to see who's available. I did hear from someone I've been talking to recently that Deebo Samuel was working out with Zach Wilson down in Tampa. So that's like always intriguing to kind of see those types of like sort of little connections. I don't expect him to get traded. I think the 49ers are probably going to say, hey, look, we can't extend you yet. You're just going to have to sit on your contract, and we're going to, hold you for 2 years. And I think that's probably why there's a little bit of an abrasiveness there with the 49ers. AJ Brown seems like the most possible situation with the Titans. Don't have a crazy ton of cap space this year or next year. Maybe they're looking for a few, multiple picks, but it's tough for me to see if the Jets will trade for one, because you look at the Packers and the Chiefs, who both need wide receivers, and they have late first round picks. And I can see, one of these receivers going for picks 29 and 30 or whatever the Chiefs have. And that would just trump us as far as, our 2 high second round picks.
Yeah, I mean, that's the best case scenario for me personally. I really feel like if the Jets wanted to go into the season by giving Zach Wilson all the best weapons and protection possible, you trade for a receiver. But the problem is we need a team like the Titans or all those other teams that are willing to give up one of those superstar receivers. And the other good news is plan B, we still have the ammunition to get a receiver in the draft. So that's the one thing that I'm really excited about this draft class, is it's not like if we strike out on one of those players in the trade market like a DK or an AJ Brown, it's the end of the world and Jets fans should freak out. It's not the case at all. We have the ammunition to still get a big-time piece at the wide receiver position to help out Zach Wilson, to complement Elijah Moore and Corey Davis and Braxton Berrios in the draft, like a Jameson Williams, like a Burks, like a Garrett Wilson, like a Watson. You guys know all the wide receiver prospects, and expect one of those guys to be a Jet. And it's going to be a lot of fun, man, because like I said earlier on in the stream, I really feel like this Jets offense is one receiver away from being set, and it's going to take flight next year, because I really feel like this offense is going to be fun to watch, especially running the ball and setting up the play action for Zach Wilson. So, guys, we're going to be getting into a live mock draft right now. But before we get into it, I just want you to guys smash that thumbs up button for you boys so we can get as many Jets fans in here to get into the mock draft. We're going to go into the chat. We're going to put up a poll so we can argue of who should we draft. Ryan and I are going to debate on who we should draft. It's going to be a lot of fun. And Ryan, what recommendation would you have in terms of the simulation that we should do? Should we do Pro Football Network? Should we do PFF? Like, what's your favorite?
It doesn't really matter. I haven't looked at any of the rankings recently. Sometimes they're like totally wacky based on like the stuff that we've been hearing.
We'll experiment.
Whichever one.
All right, we're going to start off with Pro Football Network.
Cool.
All right. You guys ready for this? I need everybody in the chat to be live and active for this mock draft, because I want to not only get who we want, but I want to predict this draft. I want to look back on the stream and say, ha, me and Ryan had that guy on the Jets. Let's go. Here we go. All righty. And the one thing about these simulators that I love is we don't have to pick 7 rounds. Pick 5. All right. Let's start it off. Who's going to be available at 4? Okay, so Evan Neal's the first pick. Malik Willis goes second, and then Trayvon Walker's 3. That is interesting. So we got a trade offer. Ryan does say he likes to trade back from 4. So the Chiefs offer 29, 30, 50, 135 for pick number 4. Ryan shaking his head. Reject.
Yeah, no.
Falcons want pick number 4 for 8, 43, and 114.
That's interesting. I would want a pick next year. If you want to counter it, maybe do we try to go for their second or maybe their first next year? And then if they say no, go for their second.
Interesting. Hold on 1 second. Charles, welcome to the Jets Media membership, the rookie membership. I appreciate you tuning in. You can spam those beautiful Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh emojis down in the live chat. Appreciate you becoming a member of the channel, Charles. So in this one, I think we're just going to reject it. Stay put at 4.
Perfect.
Just so we can get a little more realistic here. So Neal, Willis, and Walker are the 3 off the board. I don't see this happening, but hey, you never know, right? So we'll start off with Ryan's pick, and then we'll get into the chat to see what everyone else wants.
Man, it's so tough. I've heard Green Beans told me that Aiden Hutchinson has mentioned before that he wants to rush from a 2-point stance, which is kind of concerning. And I don't particularly love KT, but I do think of the players there, I think KT should probably be the pick.
Should we restart this?
Right? We want a mulligan. Let's do it again.
I don't know. Like, some people in the chat are saying, like, let's make this realistic, and PFN is trash. So, all right.
I think this is totally realistic to happen. I mean, Evan Neal at 1, they're protecting their franchise quarterback and Travis Etienne, who they drafted last year. Malik Willis at 2 makes perfect sense. They had him in the Senior Bowl, and it seemed like they were trying to protect him. And then at 3, Trayvon Walker. I've been saying Trayvon Walker's a top 5 pick, and like Matt and Green Bean have absolutely been roasting me about it. Like, it wouldn't shock me if he was the pick at 4 for the Jets.
Very interesting. I'm going to put up a poll right now. What do we do at 4? Let's see what the people want to do in the chat. Either restart, Hutch, or KT. We're going to give you guys a minute on this poll in the chat, and we'll see what you guys want us to do. Either restart it, go Hutch, or go KT. Because I agree this is pretty much realistic because you never know what could happen. But it seems like majority are going to say restart for some reason.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of people not too happy with how that goes. There's a situation where none of the top edges come off the board. Like, I can see offensive line at 1. I can see quarterback at 2. And I can see safety at 3. Like, it wouldn't shock me if we had every edge rusher available to us. And at that point, I'm probably taking Sauce. I really would. I would take a different position because at number 5, the Giants are going to take O-line. At number 6, I think the Panthers are going O-line or quarterback. So then the earliest edge, if we pass on one and all are available, would be number 7 to the Giants. And if you're doing the math, 7, 8, 9, 10, there's 5 edge rushers, and we're getting the pick of 2 of them.
It's true. Seems like the majority wants to restart, so we're going to restart, everybody. That's what the people wants. That's what the people gets. Restart. Now, what if it's the same exact thing? What do we do?
Oh, man, I don't know.
There we go.
I don't know.
Oh, wow, that is different.
Okay, that's totally different now. All right, this is probably more in line with how people feel the top 3 will go.
Yeah,
in some
we
fashions.
also got
Maybe not to those teams, but
this is an interesting offer. We got the Steelers offering pick 20, 52, next year's first and next year's third.
Yes, I would do that. What's the other trade?
Pick 16 and 19 for our 4 and 111.
Oh man, I like this. See, I like the Steelers trade if they throw in Chase Claypool or Deontay Johnson. That would be the trade that I would be looking for, because then you solve your wide receiver and you get a pick this year and their first next year. Like, that is the one I'm trying to make happen, I think.
So do we do this trade or what, everybody?
I don't know. I mean, maybe we say we don't do it, so that way it's kind of like, no.
Because we're getting future picks, but we're not going to use those picks now.
Yeah, I say maybe we just sit tight. These are the two options I do see the Jets having at their disposal, although I don't think we'd have to throw in pick 111. I think there's going to be enough people that want to come up to 4 that it would just be 4 and then both firsts from the Saints, and then possibly like a pick next year.
Okay, let's counter it and just say no 111. Yeah, they don't like it. They're giving away 111.
Interesting.
All right, so we're on the clock at 4. Hutch is gone. Thibodeau is gone. I think I know who Ryan wants.
I think with 2 edge rushers going right there, as much as I love Sauce Gardner, I'm going with an edge rusher, whichever one you like. If it's Walker, if it's Johnson, I think that should probably be the pick. If none of the edges went or one went, then maybe you can get a little cute with it. Is there a way you're leaning as far as where you would go at 4?
Yeah, so for me, man, I just feel like it's going to be hard for me to see the Jets take a corner at 4 over an edge, just because of how much Robert Saleh prioritizes pass rush, and that's really the fundamental piece of a successful defense for his system. Like we saw the 49ers go to the Super Bowl because of that defensive line just going to the quarterback. So, and we also heard countless times that from our own coaches, for the Jets coaching staff, that the pass rush bails out the corners. They're trying to build from the front back. And every time I hear that, it makes me hard to expect them to draft a guy like Sauce over a player at edge. I'm not saying I agree or disagree with them. I just feel like that's what's going to happen based on what I've been hearing just from the press conferences. Not that I have any sources or anything. Just hearing from Robert Saleh and Joe Douglas, I really find it hard to believe of the Jets to take a player in Sauce over a guy like an edge, like a Walker or a JJ. So we're going to get into the chat and we're going to see who they want. Who should I make the option? Sauce, Walker, JJ.
Yeah, let's say Sauce, Walker, JJ, and then
Kwanu.
Yeah, throw a Kwanu in there. Why not?
There's anybody that still wants him.
See, this would be a situation where maybe I'm like, hey, Giants, the Panthers are calling. They want to jump you for their offensive lineman, kick us a third, and we'll slide back one. Like, that would be a nice little wheel and deal there.
That is funny. I know some Jets fans want Jordan Davis as well.
I would be very upset with that pick. I don't want defensive tackle in the top 2 rounds. It's, the only one that I would be all right with would be Walker because he's got that positional flexibility, but I don't know. I know who I would take here.
See, Joe wants us to take Icky. Some people that still want Kwanu.
Yeah.
All right, so the results are coming in. Majority are saying Sauce.
Really? Interesting. I think we go the opposite way. If they go Sauce, I think we make a decision based on the edge rushers. Because I'm with you. I think edge rusher is the pick all day at 4.
Yeah, I mean, now what do we do? The people are saying Sauce, but Ryan and I want edge. So now we're in a little.
I would go if it were me. I really like Jermaine Johnson. I like Trayvon Walker too, but I think because we got to see Jermaine Johnson at the Senior Bowl, we might have a little bit more insight on him, even though he was on the other team. So that would be the direction I would probably lean. Or if they don't go that direction, maybe it just tips their hand as far as like them not liking him because of what they saw at the Senior Bowl.
I agree. V-Man with the $5 super chat. What's up, my man? Always a pleasure having you in. Sending in some donations. Always appreciate you, bro. Last time we had an edge, Microsoft had released the Xbox 360, and Nickelodeon had just released Season 1 of Avatar, The Last Airbender. Wow, V-Man. That brings me back to time, that's for sure. And that really makes me feel like I'm old, which I'm not. I'm young.
Dude, throwback. When did we get rid of Abraham? Was that after 05?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I was 7 years old at that in 05.
Yeah, it would have been the Reggie Bush draft, right? So that was 05 or 06, one of those 2 years.
That is so sad. And V-Man, we appreciate you reminding Jets fans that this is how long it's been since we have a true pass rusher. It's sad. V-Man, I appreciate you. All right, so Jermaine Johnson is closing in the gap on this poll. But guys, make sure you vote on the poll. We have 218 people watching with only 68 votes on the poll. So if you guys want to get involved of this mock draft, click on the player that you want us to draft at number 4. Is it Sauce? Is it Walker? Is it JJ? Is it Ekwonu? So far, Sauce is leading the way at 43%. JJ is at 32%. So we're going to give this another minute for you guys to really place your votes, because I'm really curious to see who you guys want. If I was the one to make the pick, I'm probably taking Jermaine Johnson. I feel like he is a player that the Jets fell in love with at the Senior Bowl. I feel like he's a guy that is going to be not only a really good pass rusher, but he's really good at stopping the run as well. Another thing that the Jets struggled with last year. And adding a guy in Jermaine Johnson just reassures you that the New York Jets are building these trenches, and throw in JJ next to Quinnen, JFM, a healthy Carl Lawson, Martin, Huff, even Jonathan Marshall in year number 2, Sheldon Rankins, and Solomon Thomas. And this Jets defensive line is scary. So, and then when it comes to Sauce, I love Sauce Gardner, but I just don't feel like the Jets are going to take him at 4. The only way the Jets draft him is if he somehow falls to number 10, which is unlikely.
Yeah, it's if he falls to 10, or maybe like every edge is available for the Jets and they don't get the trade down offer they want, then maybe you roll the dice, you get Sauce, and then like the situation of, not, having all the edge rushers available and you have 2 to pick from at number 10. If they like a lot of the edge rushers, then that's okay with me. But having 2 go before us, I couldn't take Sauce at number 4 like this. Ali,
what up, my man? Appreciate you tuning in, as always. So, Sauce is still leading the way, Ryan. I feel like, what do we do? Do we take Sauce because of the people, or should we just go with our guts and take JJ?
I like the input from the chat, but I do think we should go JJ. I think there's been so much about the Jets defensive line, and the best way to stop an elite wide receiver is to get to the quarterback. Like it feels like that is 100% the pick. And I would say let's go that way.
This is like the draft. Like, guys, this is real. Like, we are Joe Douglas right now. Like, this is serious. Like, whoever we draft is going to be a Jet. Like, this is no mock draft. We are simulating the real deal. And another quick question, is it Johnson over Walker for you? Like, no doubt?
No, not at all. I trust our evaluation process. I really do. So if they decide not to go with Johnson, I think it's because of what they saw at the Senior Bowl. If they do go with Johnson, I think it's because of what they saw at the Senior Bowl. Trayvon Walker, if they go that route, I think it's because they like his positional flexibility, because then maybe you're having a situation where it's Walker and JFM kind of flip-flopping edge and defensive tackle consistently. So they both provide different things. Maybe the argument is Sauce, and then you have Walker and Karlaftis and JJ possibly sitting there at 10. I don't know. I just think edge is so important for this defense that it'd be really tough to pass on one here.
So the chat's saying that JJ will be available at 10. So do we roll a dice and take Sauce and hope that JJ's there at 10?
See, I think it's possible that he's there at 10 for sure. Like, I think him and Karlaftis would probably be the options that we have at 10, which I'm also fine with. So, God,
all right, we're gonna do what the people says with this pick, and then at number
applesauce. I like it.
We got it, man. The people have spoken. And I appreciate everyone tuning in. But there's going to be some picks where you guys have no input, all right? It's going to be Ryan and I making these
picks. Look, I'm not upset with this at all. I like Sauce. I've advocated for Sauce at 4 before.
We can get JJ still. There we go.
Oh, man. Okay, so who wound up going?
We got a trade offer, though. We can move back 2 spots to get a 3rd-round pick next year.
Nah. I'm sitting tight at 10.
We got the Bears giving up 39, 48. 71 and a second next year for 10 and 146.
Nah.
We got the Chiefs moving back to 29. We got 29, 30, and 62. We go up 69.
That's interesting. I don't think I would do that, though. That's a pretty far way to fall.
That is 2 first-round picks.
It is. I do like it. But I think we're going to get another first by trading back in anyway.
20 and 52.
Nah.
All right, we're going to reject all these.
Yeah.
So is it JJ? I think that's the
I guess so, right? Like, it's because it's either him or Karlaftis at this point. Jameson Williams wound up going 7 to the Giants. I'm just trying to see like who's so when Ekwonu, the Panthers traded down with Seattle. That's wacky. Trevor Penning going 9. Dude, I'm telling you, we're seeing him rise up boards. If he's there at 10, it wouldn't shock me if he was the pick if we went edge at 4. But I would take JJ in this situation.
So I'll put up a quick poll because let's see what they want. Who should I put on the poll?
I would say JJ, Karlaftis. I would throw in a receiver because only Williams is off the board. Maybe 2 receivers. Why not? I don't think we'll run into a situation where people want receiver more than edge rusher here.
I'll do Burks and Wilson.
I'd be surprised.
All right. You guys let us know who you want the Jets to draft at pick number 10. Jermaine Johnson, Karlaftis, Burks, Wilson, or London, but I couldn't squeeze him in. JJ's leading the way. It's going to be JJ.
Yeah, I would be surprised if it was. I mean, it's going to be him or Karlaftis, I think. But I like JJ personally.
All right. 60 votes. 50% say JJ. I've seen enough.
Yep.
We were going to take him at 4. We're getting him at 10, baby. All right. So it's Sauce and Jermaine Johnson in the first round. Now we are on the clock at 35. 49ers are offering 61.93 and next year's second for 35 and 146.
Nope.
And whoa, this one is weird. 35 for 104, 142, and next year's second and third. This is a pick where you're just looking into the future, which I don't think we want to do right now. So
no, we got to get a receiver. I would say we would just filter by receiver or offense in general.
All right, so Dotson, Pierce, Pickens, Mechie are available at the top. Watson went to the Lions. Burks went at 26 to the Titans. London went 22nd. Wilson.
Olave 21. Garrett Wilson at 18. Yeah, dude. See, look, that's what I'm saying. You trade in front of 28, 29, and 30, that Packers, Chiefs kind of run right there. I'm shocked they didn't go receiver, actually. But okay. I would say of these guys, I like Dotson a lot. Pickens, to me, if you're okay, I think you're probably okay with the leg injury or the knee injury because he ran so well at the combine. And I think there's something about a player that kind of got slighted because of an injury. Like, I think he's going to come back and be like a really aggressive player. Not to mention he's not afraid to block. Like, I've watched him point to the sideline of a team, throw his defensive back backwards, and then point back at the team. Like, that's just, to me, he has a lot of like elite wide receiver aspects, but 50% of his production happened in his freshman year. And the rest, you know, at least this past year was injury. I don't know if the Jets can really risk that. I guess maybe, I don't know. I like the top 4 that are sitting right there. I really do.
Linderbaum is also still available if we wanted to take him and then take a receiver at 38. So I just put up a poll. Dotson, Pickens, Mechie, or Linderbaum.
I guess because I like the receivers, I didn't even realize Linderbaum was available. That might be the pick for me at 35. Because if I like 4 of the receivers, why not wait, for the Giants? And the Giants already took a receiver at number 7 with Jameson Williams, so they're not going receiver. So maybe one receiver goes at the Texans pick, where I could see either one of those teams going with, Linderbaum. It's not the way I would expect it to break, but Linderbaum at 35 would be all right with me.
Hey, man, you never know who's going to fall in the draft. No one expected Elijah Moore to get out of the first round. Every single year, there's always a player that falls, and you're like, wow, how did he fall? Maybe Linderbaum's that man. He falls to the Jets at 35. I think it's a no-brainer for me personally. I would take Linderbaum here, and the Jets pick right after, literally 2 picks later. So, and it seems like the chat agrees with that as well. Let's get into the poll. Yeah, everyone's saying Linderbaum. Linderbaum will be the pick. All right, Dotson went to the Houston Texans.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. I like Kenyon Green pick for the Giants. He's played every single position on the offensive line. He's an impressive player.
So now it's between Pierce, Pickens, Mechie, Tolbert.
I would go Pickens just because of the conference. Like the SEC, you're going up against the top dogs. I like Pierce a lot. This is a little bit high for where I would be looking to take him. And there's a little bit of concern with like potential injury, but because you want to do those 2 tight end sets and you want to run the ball, I think Pickens kind of fits what you're looking to do.
Yeah, I think it's a Pickens for me as well. I agree, and it seems like majority of the chat wants Pickens. So we're going to get Pickens.
So I'm looking at like safety at this point, maybe linebacker. Because what do we get? We got our corner, we got our edge, our receiver, and our center.
Yeah, so here's the mock draft so far, guys. We got Sauce at 4, Jermaine at 10, Linderbaum at 35, and Pickens at 38. What a crazy haul this would be.
I would love this. This would be absolutely incredible.
Woo! All right, so let's see who's available. Pierce is still available. Strong, if you want to get your backup quarterback for the future. Totally kidding.
Possibly.
Petrie is still here. I like that.
Yeah.
Isaiah Spiller. So who out of these players that you see available, Ryan, are you eyeing?
Can we filter by safety and linebacker? Those are probably, I would say linebacker maybe a little more critically for me.
You can do one at a time. So here are the safeties. We got Petrie,
so
Cross,
we're looking at
Joseph.
Petrie and Cross are the top two. I like Petrie a lot because we had him at the Senior Bowl, so I could see that as a selection. And then
linebackers.
Leo Chanel. He's been the hot name recently, I feel like.
If you want your favorite position, D-tackle.
I really don't. Is that Leal?
Yeah, the Marvin Leal available.
I've seen him mocked so high at some points. I'm curious to see where he winds up going.
Likely and Ruckert are the tight ends.
Yeah, I'm waiting till the next round for a tight end at the earliest.
Tackles are Raymond and Filelli. Isaiah Spiller. White is the running backs.
So I really like James Cook, Dalvin Cook's brother from Georgia. I think he's filthy.
Yeah, I agree.
That would be the one I'd be looking at a little later.
Okay, so we got to make a poll now because now this is where it gets dicey. Who do we take?
Kirby Joseph's good too. I do like a few of these safeties here.
Who are the 4 names you think I should put in the poll?
I think based on these power rankings, Petrie's one that should be on that.
Petrie, we'll put a safety. We'll put. Well, everyone in the chat, spam who you want, and then I can tell.
I would say Leo looks like another popular name.
Leo. Petrie, Leo. Does anybody want a tight end or any other random position?
It looks like no to running back. Hawk says do a position poll, running back, linebacker, safety, tight end. That may not be a bad idea.
Yeah, that's true.
And then we can kind of break it down a little further from that.
Safety, linebacker. What position did he say?
Safety, linebacker, tight end, and running back as like the 4 positions.
All right, guys. Which position do you want us to draft right now at 69? I just put the poll up. It's live. You guys can interact with Ryan and I in the chat.
Man, I just can't wait for the draft. There's so many players I really like.
So close. It's ridiculous. So Trey McBride just went before us to the Lions. I just noticed Tariq Woolen.
Wow,
who's a speedy guy.
I do like Bryant too.
Mechie to the Falcons.
Mm-hmm. Christian Harris was the one I was hoping would make it there.
I could definitely
see linebacker
getting Sky Moore. That's such a Chiefs player.
Yeah.
Chad Muma to Philly.
Yeah, that's like kind of the issue with going with Linderbaum. Not that it's an issue because you get a stud center, but if you go with like corner and like I feel like you get one luxury pick in the top 4 picks. And like we did that with Sauce at 4, and then you have Linderbaum, which I don't think is, they're both great players, but then you kind of miss out on that linebacker that you would have otherwise probably taken in the second.
So it seems like linebacker is who everybody wants us to get. So I think it's going to be Leo.
Yeah, I think that's.
Or do some people want Brandon Smith? Who do you like? You like Leo over Smith?
I mean, power ranking wise, Brandon Smith is ranked 61 to Chanel's 82. I don't care either way. I like Beavers. I like, Damon Clark. I like a lot of these linebackers here.
All right, everybody in the chat, spam real quick which linebacker you want us to take right here at 69. Is it Brandon Smith? Is it Chanel? Is it Brian? Is it Channing? Is it Clark? Is it Beavers? Who is it? Anderson's off the board, I'm pretty sure. Anderson is not available. Anderson went to, I think I saw his name. Yeah. Troy Anderson's gone. He's went to the Steelers. So majority is Leo. We're taking Leo.
All right.
Some people want Smith. I see you guys, but majority wants Leo. All right. We're cruising through this. This is an interesting trade.
It's actually not a bad one.
I'd actually.
But I think when you click the simulation, I think you ended it at the 5th round. So I don't think we wind up getting to those picks.
Damn.
Let's reject it.
Damn, that is an L on my part. I would have taken that.
Yeah, no, that was a good trade.
All right, we are on the clock at 1:11. This is. I
think I saw James Cook go. Oh no, he's still there.
Oh, James Cook is there.
Yeah.
So do we go? Ooh, I like that. All right, so we got Sauce, we got Jermaine, we got Linderbaum, we got Pickens and Chanel. Who do you guys want us to get now? Is it James Cook? Is it a safety? We have not got a safety yet.
Let's see who's available at safety, because right now Cook is the one I'm kind of eyeing. Yeah, I think of everyone left, Cook is the one I like. Help out Zach Wilson. Tevin Coleman's only on a 1-year deal. I don't think Ty Johnson is here beyond this year.
Yeah,
we're
Michael Carter running back in this draft, and I think it's going to be Cook, baby.
Dude, I hope so. I like Dalvin Cook so much. His brother.
I was about to say, fun fact about Dalvin Cook for me, I'll never forget in that draft, it was 2016 or 2017, the Jets were on the clock, and I remember screaming at the TV, please draft Dalvin Cook. Please draft Dalvin Cook. Do you remember who we drafted instead?
It was Marcus May.
It was Marcus May, and at the time, I was like, what? Another safety? We literally just got Jamal Adams. Like, why did we just draft 2 safeties? We could have just got a stud running back. But then I fell in love with Marcus May, and I was like, yeah, it makes sense. But we're not making that mistake again.
Dude, prior to that draft, I was like, oh, you know what? I would take Dalvin Cook top 10. And then, I started reading up into him, and I was like, you know what? He's got in, trouble with the law, every year since his freshman year of high school. And I was like, maybe not. Let's avoid that. But the talent was incredible. His highlight tape might be one of the best running back highlight tapes I've ever seen.
Yeah, 100%. So we take James Cook. We got the brother of the superstar Dalvin. He's going to be a superstar with us along with Michael Carter. Now the question is, do we go offensive tackle in Kennard to get our swing tackle? Do we go defense to get a safety? What are you thinking right now, Ryan?
I'm probably looking tackle at this point. There's not enough safeties that I really like that would prevent me from I think tackle is going to be so important because we don't know the health of Mekhi Becton or if he's going to be banged up a little bit like we saw his rookie year. And then Fant, you're going into a year with him in the final year of his contract. So I think it's important to get that position. Is there anyone you particularly like from this list? Because I'm fine with BPA.
Man. From the offensive tackle list?
Yeah.
I like Kennard a lot. I like Jones, but I feel like Kennard would be my pick personally. I feel like he's a guy that would be a fit. Who did you say you wanted Kennard, or did you like someone else?
Yeah, no, I'd go with that. I don't know enough about the tackles this late in the draft that I'm overly one way or the other on one.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I'm not right there with you. I haven't really done homework on the late prospects at the tackle position, so I'm not going to pretend like I know all these players' names, I know their tendencies, and I know everything about it. But outside of the tackle position, what other positions is the chat saying? It feels like
safety's probably a pretty popular one.
The safety, we have Leon O'Neal. We have JT Woods, who was the other safety on the Senior Bowl, who was a teammate with Petrie.
He ran a blazing fast 42 at the combine.
Yeah. I liked him a lot. He really flashed. Those 2 Baylor safeties, I was like, whoa, those guys are nice. So it's either between JT Woods, O'Neal Jr., or a tackle in Kennard, or another position. Maybe we get another edge.
Hmm.
I don't know. I think it's going to be. Oh, Jelani Woods is another example of a player that we can take.
What tight ends are left?
Yeah.
I'm curious.
Jelani Woods, Cole Turner.
I do like Charlie Kolar a lot.
It's so funny how Weidermeyer just dropped off the face of the earth.
Dude, he plummeted.
Wasn't
He
he,
went
like,
from like
ranked as the
top
best?
tight end.
Yeah, exactly.
It was like him or McBride. And then he had like, what did he get, a 1 RAS score or something like that?
Yeah, I remember he was like the guy, like way earlier into the draft process. And all of a sudden,
yeah.
All right, so Kolar, Woods is still here.
So maybe since we don't know many of the safeties and we're not necessarily in love with the tackles, maybe it is a tight end and you help out your young quarterback for the future. But I don't know. We just signed 2 of them. Like, I feel like you got to fill other positions in need.
I know. And this is the hardest part about being live during a mock draft because you have the chat screaming at you, all these different players, and you don't know what to do. So, yeah, based on the chat, who do you feel like is the most popular name? I see Woods. I see Cole Turner. I don't see anybody wanting a tackle.
Yeah, okay, let's omit the tackle then. I think that's the chat has spoken.
Look at the defensive tackle. Someone said in the chat, smart. John Ridgway. Haskell Garrett. This is a player that was on the Jets Senior Bowl team that flashed, and I like him a lot. I feel like this could be a pick for the Jets in later rounds if they did want to get a defensive tackle.
I could see the Jets trading down and accumulating a lot of those late round picks to try and snatch up Senior Bowl guys before they hit, undrafted free agency.
All right, so it looks like Woods might be it.
All right.
Unless, who would you take? I'm just basing it off this chat.
Yeah, no, I'm fine with Woods.
Not this.
We
Woods,
need a safety.
I
And
was
Senior
talking
Bowl fits the MO.
I was thinking Jelani Woods, but I think they're talking about Jelani Woods.
Oh.
There's 2 Woods available, guys.
Yeah, that's confusing. JT Woods or Jelani Woods?
Oh no, now we're all confused.
God. Okay, put up a poll. Do Jelani Woods and do JT Woods.
Oh my
and
god.
see what they're talking about. I'm good either way.
How is Joe Douglas gonna do this? It's his
You're
job.
going on upside with Jelani Woods because you got the he had like a 9.99 RAS, I think, at the combine.
Who else should I add to the poll? Just those 2?
I would just say those 2. That way we kind of narrow it down a little bit.
All right, it's between a safety and a tight end right now. Jelani Woods or JT Woods?
Oh, man, I don't know which one I'd go.
What up, James? Welcome to the chat, my friend. This is my buddy from home. What up? Big Jets fan. No, he's not. Doesn't know anything about the Jets, but he shows support to the channel, so I appreciate you, James. Oh, there goes my camera. Oh, no.
Ah!
I'm in the darkness. All right, what's the chat looking like? 65% is saying Jelani Woods. All right, looks like that's going to be the pick then. I'll give it a couple more seconds. It looks like it's Jelani. We're getting our 3rd tight end. The chat has spoken. All right, guys, we're inching close to the end of the mock draft. So here's what we got so far. We got Sauce, Jermaine, Linderbaum, Pickens, Leo, Cook, and Woods. We got 2 picks left. Who's he going to be?
So we still got to get a safety and we still got to get a swing tackle. Those are the two spots I'm looking at left that I'd be kind of eyeing.
All right. So here's the safeties.
Ugh, I don't think I know anyone left. Smoke Monday is the only one that's got a cool nickname.
Here's the tackles. Yikes.
I'm pretty sure Vrabel's kid is going to go undrafted. I think he's like further down.
Where the hell is he?
Last time I did one of these, there he is, Tyler.
Coming soon. Doesn't even doesn't have anything.
Yeah, they're like, yeah, sorry, he's not getting drafted.
I think we're just gonna draft. Should we get Corker?
Smoke Monday is such a cool nickname. We could have Smoke and Sauce in the background.
Hey, maybe he has chemistry with Michael Carter. No, not Michael Carter. Brandon Nichols.
Maybe
From Kentucky.
Yeah, I can see it.
Probably were teammates.
Contributor on for the Kentucky defense. He's only just starting now.
A legitimate sleeper. I like to hear that.
Yeah.
Smoke coming soon. Zuerlin is a box score statistic. Do not make an evaluation.
6'4". That's a big dude.
Yeah, what?
How big was Corker?
He's 6 foot.
6 foot. Let's go with the big guy.
Yeah, I like that because Whitehead is that smaller guy. So I think Weatherfoot's going to be the pick here.
Yeah,
we're getting a 6'4" monster. Boom. All right. For the last pick, we got Jordan Anthony, 6'6". On top of his athleticism, was visible.
Impressive quickness.
They have 2 good tackles because isn't Kennard from Kentucky?
Yeah.
Okay. Chris Paul, the great point guard, coming soon.
Only
all these other guys I can't read anything about.
Yeah,
so I guess
I would say Kentucky's the winner there.
Or, yeah, we're taking Jordan Anthony. Sorry, guys. No one knows him, but it's okay. All right, so here is the full results. Please give us a letter grade in the chat. Who do you guys love? I'm sure there's some people going to give this an F because people love to do that because we didn't take your players. But let me know, what's your letter grade? Hypothetically, this actually happened. This is the Jets draft class, even though it's unrealistic because there's going to be trades, right? That's the fun thing about these mock drafts. It's like, it's going to be trades. But I want to hear your guys' thoughts. And Ryan, what's your thoughts? What's your letter grade? If this was actually what happened on draft night and you're making your recap video on Sunday, you're giving your letter grades, what's your grades?
I'd love this. I really do. And it's more so because I trust our scouting department more than anything. So if they pass on the edge at 4 because they like, a few of them to be there at 10, I'm okay with that. I just think it's so critical for them to get one. I would be shocked if 2 edges go in the top 3 that they don't pull the trigger on 1 at 4. But dude, I love Sauce. I love Pickens, Linder. Our top 4, I seriously love. And then I like Chanel, really like Cook, like Woods. This is an A all day for me because you hit all the positions of need. Maybe safety is a little bit weaker going later in the draft, but I like it a lot. I would say my favorite player in this draft is, I guess, Linderbaum at 35. That value is just awesome.
And now our offensive line is money. I mean, are you kidding me? Later, McGovern.
You're also trading McGovern, right? At that point, if you take Linderbaum at 35, you're probably getting like a 4th round pick for McGovern.
And then all of a sudden, our offensive line is scary. I'll be on YouTube screaming that we are I'm going to be so delusional to the point where our offensive line is going to be top 5 in the league in run blocking because it's going to be insane. Add a Pro Bowler with Laken Tomlinson, and then this man and Linderbaum, who's an absolute monster in the run game. Oh my gosh! The only thing I don't like about this mock is I do like Pickens a lot. I feel like he is a guy that would be a smart pick in the 2nd round, but we don't get that, Jamison Williams or Burks or one of those guys.
You don't get the wow factor necessarily. I think that you're hoping this is a lot. For me, this is a lot of promise, or hope, because Sauce not playing in an SEC school, I think as much as he's an athletic freak and he performed well at Cincinnati, there's still a little bit of concern with that. Jermaine Johnson transferring from Georgia to go to the ACC in Florida is a little concerning. Linderbaum, he's an undersized center, very light as a center. That's a concern. Pickens with the knee injury, is he a concern? There's a lot of but there's a lot of really high upside because our top 4 picks they're all basically 1st round picks. But I think this is a risky draft, but I like it.
And low key, if you look at Joe Douglas's drafts, he does like the risky picks, the high floor. Mekhi Becton was one of those players, boomer bust. And I'm all for it. So we will see what happens. But we got the letter grades there in. Let's quickly go over some letter grades in the chat. We got an A. Woo, Brian. A-, A++. We got a B. We got an A. Another A+. No wide receiver. Not good from KC. We got an F+. Thank you, Austin. B-. B- Johnson is overhyped, and I'm not so much into Pickens. Some people are upset that we only drafted one receiver.
Where are you going to play another wide receiver? That's the question. You only got so many positions.
We have Elijah Moore, Corey, Braxton, and Denzel as a 4, and then we can draft one that's 5. Who's, you know what I mean? Unless,
I don't know. If you want to play 2 tight ends, like that receiver that you're drafting after that is, I don't know, special teams maybe, but like that's kind of what Berrios is.
Yeah, I agree. So guys, that concludes the live stream with Ryan and I going deep into the mock draft and going over our NFL draft preview for the New York Jets. It's crazy, guys. The New York Jets and the NFL draft is right around the corner. It's not this weekend. It's the weekend after. Or no, the weekend after next weekend. Whenever it is, it's coming, and it's coming fast, and I'm really excited for it. Make sure you guys check out Ryan and his channel. He's got a lot of Jets content coming all throughout the week, leading up until the draft, of course, on myself, on Jets Media. And if you guys are not subscribed to Ryan, that is down below in the description. Ryan, anything you'd like to say before we end off the stream? Always a pleasure to have you on.
Yeah, thank you for having me on again. This is always fun. I enjoy this. I'll be live tonight, 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock for my live call-in show. So if you guys want to come over there and give me hell for the picks that we made today, or, just ask some questions, I'll be around 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock.
Yeah, make sure you guys check out Ryan's stream tonight. And, of course, his panel tomorrow night. He's got some great things going over there. Always a pleasure to have you on. And thank you to everybody in the live chat for interacting with us, helping us narrow down these picks in the polls. Always appreciate you guys, and all the support means a lot. And if you guys enjoyed this stream, please don't forget to hit that like button. I really do appreciate all the support. Tomorrow I'll be live with Jake Asman at 12 noon, and we'll be talking about the wide receiver position and some wide receiver targets that the Jets will be going after in the NFL draft. And then Wednesday night, we'll have Matt O'Leary on the show to talk about some trade scenarios that we should be expecting. So a lot of great guests. Ryan was the head and the leader of it. And stay tuned for that. I'll catch you guys in the next stream. See you guys tomorrow morning. And have a great rest of your Monday. Peace out, everybody.